Whoosh.
Whoosh indeed.
Hey. You know, we have 2 long-running, IPs here. I didn't even realize.
It's true.
We're in Star Trek. I'm wearing a screen. Today is... I think it's going to be fun. We are reviewing an anime from this year.
Yep. Another isekai.
Another isekai. Quality Assurance in Another World.
We think that's the entire title.
That is the entire title. It's on Crunchyroll. Now, what's really funny about this show, before we get started, is I don't know if anyone's really watching this show.
No, I haven't heard anyone talk about it. Yeah.
It was actually really hard for me to find any articles about it and to even find out when the final episode was.
Yeah.
So it is not. This is not Dan to Dan. This is not Attack on Titan. Yeah. This is very, very low key.
And the final episode ended with "to be continued?" question mark.
Yeah, so, which is not a great sign.
So this one of the funny things we talked about this on our own, but it is incredibly difficult to describe what this anime is about.
Yeah,
and especially to describe it in a way that sounds at all interesting. Like, there's no good way to describe it as entertaining as it is.
Yeah, I think that this is the kind of show that, if you are really into, the technical aspect of computers, maybe you're, an IT person, this would definitely be your show.
I also think that if you're a gamer, a lot of it deals with bugs in gaming, and glitches and stuff, and that kind of stuff is entertaining and funny when you're seeing it happen to someone else.
But it's kind of like the really smart person version of Shangri-La Frontier.
Yeah.
Shangri-La Frontier is very shonen.
It's the IT guy version of Shangri-La Frontier. Yeah, that's
the thing. It really is. So let's do our best to try to describe what the show is.
Go for it.
So essentially there are a bunch of debuggers that work for a bunch of different companies that all get hired by this VR game company, and they all go in, and for whatever reason they all get stuck in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But where the show starts is they've all been stuck in the game for a year.
Yeah.
So
or at least a year game time.
A year game, exactly. But as far as I can tell, a year they've been trapped in there. And so our main character, Haga, is, he's just this young guy. But we pretty much never see him in the real world because he's essentially just in a coma.
Yeah.
But what's really funny is what I love about the premiere of the episode is you don't really know what's going on. No. As far as you know, this is just a fantasy show.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of this weird guy doing these weird things.
Yeah, he must be a scientist because he's making all these notes.
Exactly. And he's writing in this weird tablet and then weird lights coming out of it and you're what's happening?
And he's way too nerdy for being all muscly like he is.
Yeah, he's super jacked. Yeah. And basically you find out at the end of the first episode what the real story is, which of course is that he's stuck in there and there's these other coders stuck in there. And not just that, but he's a debugger.
Yeah.
They're all debuggers. They're all there to figure out what's going on. And but after a year has passed, everyone has given up on this and they're just trying to find their own way to deal with the psychological ramifications of being in this game. But this guy, our main character, is the only one still doing his job. He's the salary man of he is exactly what every employer in the world wants. Is our main character, which I actually think is part of the problem with this show
because he's just always wants to do his job.
Yeah, because think about this: every successful anime is about a rebel.
Yeah,
Naruto, One Piece,
but
Goku.
He is a rebel when it comes to everybody else that he's with because they're all right. So the one rule was they weren't allowed to go into debug mode.
Yeah, or God mode or whatever. Yeah,
and what he realized, what he kept on seeing was his friends that would go into the debug mode. They would all end up glitching out and getting and bad things would happen.
Yeah,
and so he refuses to ever go into it. He and like you said, so he's just always doing his job, but nobody else that he comes into contact with is. So there's the NPCs that he comes into contact with, and then there's the real people. All the real people are going into debug mode. They're giving themselves god powers.
Yeah.
And he's all no, not gonna do it. No matter what happens, not gonna do it. And it's really funny. Honestly, like there's really silly things that are kind of really fun, like the way that he checks walls to see if like there's a place where you can like slide through.
And he just puts his face against it and just runs across like an entire like castle wall.
And just these interesting things happen, like, you know, so he's always putting in his debug reports, and things get fixed, so you know the outside world can get messages from them, and yet nobody seems to be saving all of these people from being trapped in this game.
But what's really great about the first episode is something weird happens that has never happened before. So he fights this dragon, and he fights it like a really kind of silly way. But he...
A really boring but efficient way.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And this NPC, this like village girl, all of a sudden...
becomes almost sentient.
She is doing more than an NPC is supposed to do. And this is the Nicola character. And she becomes obviously much more important in the story. But overall, like, the show is... It's funny. I actually really like the show.
Yeah.
But I really like the show because it is so different from what all these other shows are like. Once again, I think it's a perfect... Like, it's the perfect juxtaposition to Shangri-La Frontier.
Yeah.
So Shangri-La Frontier is like the fun, cool, shonen Naruto way to do being in a video game.
Yeah.
This is like the, I know a lot about computers and video games. I'm a coder otaku version of an anime about being in video games.
The other thing is in Shangri-La Frontier, you know, our main character is a trash game. Like, he loves trash games. And so he's in this god level game, in this awesome game, and he's using like techniques that he honed by playing all these terrible games with a bunch of glitches.
Yeah.
In this game, in Quality Assurance, our main character is like uses all of the glitches that are in the game. So it's like Shangri-La Frontier, there are no glitches in the game, or very few glitches in the game, and like, so it's like working around that. In this, it's like finding those glitches and screwing with them.
And I agree with that, and I love that because, you know, in a way the show reminds me tactically of like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those, like, he doesn't often get into combat per se. It's not, it's not really like, once again, like Shangri-La Frontier, where everything is handled with violence. In this, it's like he often uses his skills and his understanding of the world and debugging to get out of these situations, especially with other people stuck in there that have now gone evil.
Yeah.
And it's really cool and it's fun, and I really enjoy, because I never really know, because for me personally, I played a lot of games with bugs, there's a really great one where he goes into this village and everyone's stuck in T-pose.
Yeah.
But because I'm like, I've never been a coder, I've never been a debugger, a lot of the stuff that happens and that he figures out how to deal with situations is stuff I could have never expected.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that about the show.
I agree. Yeah, but I mean, I think the biggest problem with the show is that there is no good way to explain it.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot come up with a succinct...
I actually think we've done a pretty good job.
We have, but this has been like, what, 5-10 minutes of us describing it?
Yeah, there is no elevator pitch.
Yeah, there's no succinct, like two-liner to give you an idea of what it is.
100%, yeah. And I think that's ultimately what hurts it. It's funny, it was a manga and obviously an anime, and I'm actually kind of shocked they made it, because like everything about it is like... everything about it is just like so different, but different in a way that like doesn't seem like it would make a lot of money.
But yeah, like you said, I think it's like the perfect counterpoint to Shangri-La Frontier.
Yeah, I think if you like Shangri-La Frontier, but you want something that feels like very different and very and like not as shonen, this is a good show. And I also think if you're not really into action adventure, but you like things that are a little more clever, a little more technical, this is also a cool show. Like, I really like the show.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It's just like, the problem is, you watch a Naruto or a One Piece and you really feel like this intense like adventure, and you worry about the characters.
Yeah.
And in this one, it doesn't quite have that as much. It's not like a hero's journey type story.
This is more like a game of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes,
like watching a game of Dungeons and Dragons play out.
I agree with that. I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
That might be the elevator
There
pitch.
we go. That's the best we can do.
I think that might be it.
We can't actually describe it in the elevator pitch. We just go with that.
But I also like, one of the aspects I really enjoy is how all the different people that are stuck in the game sort of deal with being in there for a year. Like, some people, they like kind of create lives where they live with the NPCs. Other people become like warlords and they're like very violent. And I like him, and I like the group that he sort of creates as time goes on. Like, it's a cool show.
It's a really cool show. It's worth giving a watch.
It is. And then maybe write an article about it, because there are not a lot of articles about it.
No.
But either way, I'm pretty sure it's only on Crunchyroll.
I wonder how if it's popular in Japan.
I feel like it is. Yeah. I feel like the manga was probably really popular in Japan, and I feel like people in Japan watch it, but I as far as I can tell, nobody in America watches it.
If there's not a second season, I might have to pick up the manga.
Yeah, no, totally. Because the thing is, like, I think that this is like, it's the kind of show you root for because it's got cool ideas, and it's like, and it's interesting, and you don't know what's gonna happen next, but at the same time, it's like, it's just like, it's almost like watching it's like when you go, it's like, you remember when everyone got into like chess for like 1 minute?
Yeah.
Because of Queen's Gambit, and so they'd watch all these YouTube videos and they realized like, no, Queen's Gambit was cool, and Anya was like, they were doing this whole like demure thing, and like, that's not what chess is. No. Chess is actually like pretty boring unless you're really into it. That's unfortunately a lot of the aspects of the show. It's just not. It's a cool, but it's not like, it's not like, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is like nonstop insanity and action. It's nothing like that.
But it's still interesting. The story elements that are happening are still, like I said, it's like watching a game of Dungeons and Dragons being played.
Yeah.
It's like the adventure, like the walking around is part of the fun of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, I like the show, like, don't get me wrong, but I'm also like, to be honest, like, it's weird because it's not like a cozy show.
No.
It's a thinker show. Like, you really have to
it's a pure adventure show. Like,
yeah. But I really believe you need to okay, this is the thing. Shangri-La Frontier, I think, if you don't know much about video games, you can still enjoy. This show, I think, really necessitates somebody who's into video games enjoying it.
Yeah. You don't have to be like the IT side of it. You don't have to be the video game maker or tester side of it. If you've played a video game and you've ever experienced the glitch, you'll relate to so much in the game in the show.
But it's like, if you've never played a video game, like, forget about it. It does not have, I think, mass appeal.
Yeah, unless you're just looking for a slower adventure. Like, I still think I don't know.
No,
I don't think you need to know about video games. I think I think that makes it better.
Yeah.
But I think
you're like this is my favorite show of all time.
It's not one of my favorite shows of the year, but we've had so many shows that we've loved this year.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I just enjoyed it. I found it fun.
You know what it is? I really liked it too, but I'm trying to like understand like why it's not popular, and I think that's why.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying these things as a diss. I'm saying these things of like, most likely, it's like, yeah, it's like Dan, right?
Yeah.
It's like, the first episode is crazy. The both characters you root for them. They're lovable. They're cool. It's like, this show is not that. This show is exactly not that.
True.
And so that's kind of the thing. It's like, that being said, I do think that there is a audience for this show.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, if you're sort of like over the sort of like general isekai tropes, it's definitely cool.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, Quality Assurance in Another World is on Crunchyroll, and it's got 13 episodes, and it's super interesting. So check it out if you want. All right. Bye.